Hey everyone, welcome to the future of the church is the metaverse. My name is DJ Soto, one of the leaders at VR MMO Church. We are a church that exists entirely in the metaverse. And we have an interesting episode today with one of our leaders. But when they first came to their church, they had quite a different name that might have been startling to some. They named themselves the Future Queen of Hell. This is that episode. We'll be right back.
Watch me. I'ma get it how I wanna get it, you don't get it. I can do anything, I don't got a limit. I'ma make my mind up, I'm committed. It might take some time, might take a minute. I won't give up, I don't give in a shit. I do what I want when I wanna do it. Call it a power or call it a gift. I call it persistence or driving some wit.
Welcome back, everyone, to the future of the church is the metaverse. My name is DJ Soto. It's good to have you back for a new episode. This episode is entitled The Future Queen of Hell. We're going to talk to Alice from England, from the UK, from Great Britain, whatever we call it. I'm sure she'll correct us on the proper pronunciation. But before we get into it, we want to welcome all of our co-hosts. We have Pastor Alina. What's up, Alina? How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm fantastic. I'm so excited to get back to doing this. Yeah.
Excited about talking to Alice today, the future Queen of Hell.
So excited. Alice. Yes, I can't wait to hear. Hopefully something new. I know you so well, but also please surprise me. I want you hopefully to share something with all of us. Something new. What is that going to be?
And Coldest from Spain. What's up, Coldest?
Hey, not much. Doing good, and glad to be here as always.
Buenardo. All right. And Alice, we're going to interview you in a second, but you're usually one of our co-hosts. We call you Alice, but we're first introduced to you as the future Queen of Hell. Before we get into that, just want to say hello. How are you in the UK, Great Britain, England? How's it going?
Just going all right. It's raining today, which is the first time in a while. Yeah, usually I come on here it rains, but we've had a lot of sun.
What's the weather like? Or the temperature in England?
17 degrees Celsius at the moment.
Oh boy, someone do the math. 17 to Fahrenheit
is American. Something American.
Something American.
That is chilly. That is
you
chilly,
guys
right?
Yeah,
That's
it's not warm.
Right? Is that
warm? It's comfortable. It's not hot. Yeah.
All right.
Not hot, not
cold.
Well,
Alice, looking forward to interviewing you here in a second. But before we do that, a word from our sponsors.
Struggling to manage your community's online presence? No worries. Digivangelism is ready to lend a hand to leaders of nonprofit and spiritual communities, empowering you to spread hope, healing, and light in the digital realm. They'll offer ministry consulting, website building, plus a brand new offering, the Digital Ministry Training Hub. You'll have access to exclusive workshops, platform walkthroughs, the entire digital communications review course, and a place to ask questions and get answers directly. Don't navigate this alone. Let Digivangelism guide you to maximizing your online impact. Visit digivangelism.org/VRchurch to learn more. The pandemic has catapulted the church into a forward-thinking ministry. 10 years ago, churches were pondering whether they should have a YouTube page. Now, almost every church on the planet is live streaming via YouTube. The church is once again at the precipice of a new technological wave called blockchain. Blockchain is the underlying technology for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all other forms of digital currency. Millennials and Gen Z are adopting blockchain tech for everyday life, from investing, buying real estate, and even receiving payments for services. According to a report by Morning Consult, 57% of all crypto adopters are millennials and 13% are Gen Z. In light of these questions, ChurchBlock.io was created to provide answers. ChurchBlock is a customized solution for ministry leaders seeking answers and opportunities in this paradigm shift. Email info@churchblock.io for a free consultation or visit churchblock.io to learn more.
Welcome back, everyone, and we're just going to dive right into today's episode. We have Alice with us. We want to talk to Alice about how she learned about VR Church and how she got integrated. She's one of our organizers of Rec Room. We have a church in Rec Room, and she's a major organizer for that experience. And we're looking forward to chatting with Alice today. Before we chat with Alice, though, Alina, I'd like to talk to you about when you first met Alice. What did you think? Because, you know, everyone comes in with their avatars. They come in with their names, Jim, marry, and even if they do something like different, it's still within the realm of like, let's say normality, something recognizable. And then you see someone that's called the future queen of hell. Do you remember seeing that for the first time, or maybe not the first time, but just around the beginning of developing a relationship with the future queen of hell, who is known as Alice?
Yes, well, I can't remember, well, definitely laughter, not at you, but like, "Oh my gosh, how crazy is this? How weird is this? Oh, future queen of hell." But not again, not in a at you way, but in a, fun way, actually. And I think that I can't remember if I met you first or if I heard about you first. My, sister-in-law, Katie, this is the first thing I remember about you was she said, "Oh my gosh, I just met the coolest person last Sunday, and her name is the future queen of hell." She loved you right off the bat. And that's really the first, what would you say, impression that I had of you. So before I even really met you, there was this impression that you were just the coolest, most awesome, kind, funny. She just loved you. And so then when I met you, again, just the name is funny. I can't help it, but most certainly didn't have any like, ooh, like some people could be, oh, oh, who is this future queen of?
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, get the
How
trash. Who's taking the
sacrilegious is
trash
this
out?
person to kick them out of the church?
Yeah,
You know.
definitely not that. Mm.
So Alice, so you're today you're volunteering with VR MMO Church. You're an organizer for Rec Room that helps us with our church and Rec Room. So that's today. Let's rewind the clock back to the day when you first heard about or experienced, or just tell us about those early days experiences and your thoughts about church. Why did you even come? What was your motivation? What did you think when you first attended? Let me hear from you about your experience.
Well, I came along because I thought it'd be fun to, troll in a little playful way around with people. Um, I didn't have a too good of a picture of Christianity in a way that I wasn't positive about it in terms of, you know, I'd had some negative experiences with other Christians. I was of some different beliefs that it was wrong. So I just wanted to mess with the people there, not in a harmful way, but the case of like,
Yeah. So you
yeah,
came. So that's
yeah.
interesting. I'd forgotten that. Now I'm reminded. You came. Hey, I'm gonna troll these people. I want to mess with them. And that's kind of the motivation when you first came. Which, by the way, I've heard several times. I think Matthew was one who was like, "Yeah, I'm coming to troll here," and kind of changed his mind and ended up volunteering. And so, all right. So you're like, all right, let me go troll these people. I've had a negative experience with Christianity, Christians, and with church. Let's go in there. So what happened when you came in?
Or when I did come into the space, there were some people that were very judgmental towards me because of my name, obviously. Um, some people blocked me. I'd got banned from some groups in alt space because this is where I first met you guys in alt space. But there was the flip side where there was about half of the people that were really nice and just talked to me, and that's where those relationships kind of started, through actually just calming down and actually chatting to one another and taking each other as we were, rather than through names or avatars or anything.
Imagine that, having a
Mm.
conversation with somebody to get to know them before you judge them. Wow, that's interesting. Groundbreaking, right? And I'm just being sarcastic with to that comment. But yeah, all right. So you even in the metaverse, you were getting judged by Christians because your name was the future queen of hell. They were blocking you. They had, I'm assuming, they had an attitude against you. Um, no conversation with you though. No, like, let's
No,
get to
no,
know this girl.
some just blocked me straight away, kind of expected.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah.
Yeah,
intention. You were like, when you say you
yeah,
went to troll, not in a harmful way, but this, half of the church is really the response that you were expecting and looking
yeah.
for. Just like in your name, you were hoping to rile those judgmental Christians up, right? Um, in the name itself was an action of trolling.
Yeah. It's
Man,
kind of, and it kind of proved part of what I was thinking, part of my perception. I was there to prove myself right, basically.
You're like, you came in and said this affirms. Yeah, that makes sense. But then also on the flip side, like you said, there was positive interactions. Were you surprised by that, or did you expect that, or what was your thoughts?
I probably didn't expect it, but it was kind of nice. And then obviously, because I don't have massively bad intentions, when they were kind to me, I wanted to help them like naturally, in that way. And I don't know.
Yeah, just some
Yeah.
healthy trolling, just poking a little fun. I
But
think you guys say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. A
yes.
little bit of
Yeah, yeah.
fun.
No, I get it. I
Banter.
get it.
Yeah. Not like, oh, I'm gonna go out and kill somebody kind of troll. But like,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I get where the sentiment is coming from, right? Because I think, I never went into a church with the intention of trolling anyone, but I did went into churches, having fun and not really taking it seriously at all. So yeah, I completely understand. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that was your first experience with us, was not to troll, but
Yeah.
to like you were going to see animals at the zoo.
Maybe. Maybe.
That's actually that's funny.
Your words, not mine,
Yeah.
but
That's funny.
Mm.
I like that. Going to see animals at the zoo. Um, yeah, and I think that to your point, Alice, about like people didn't get to know you, didn't even have the conversation. I think it's a tragedy. I think it's indicative of the attitude of our state of the church, state of Christianity, and it really shows that even in your first attendance, that you were displaying Christ, more of a Christ-like attitude than the Christians were. So, that we could go down that rabbit hole another time. But yeah, when I got to know you, or at least started to get to know you, I wasn't bothered by the name because the spirit behind the name was one that was gentle, was funny, was positive and encouraging. So whatever your name was, if you have that spirit, I think that's such a positive impact. Conversely, you could have the biblical name and be a jerk, and so that's the name didn't, I don't think, put me off, and it's just interesting to see the various reactions you got. So you attended. All right. So we're coming to troll. You came in. Some of your kind of like let's just say biases were confirmed. Hey, that this is the way it is. People were judgmental. You got the other hand where people weren't. But then you started to come. You started to stay. What was that? What was the mindset? What was the thoughts? What was the impetus behind like saying, "Hey, I want to start attending this weekly"?
Well, the thought wasn't that I wanted to attend this weekly, or anything, but I kind of felt like I needed to in a way. So I really didn't want to, and there were some other Christian groups on Altspace that I started going into as well. But this one, like, I didn't want to come, but it was like taking crack or something because it was kind of like I developed an addiction to going to this. Like, Christianity would be like, oh, I felt called to come, but or something. People would say, oh, it's the Holy Spirit calling you or whatever. But I don't know. It just felt like a bit of an addiction to attending once I came a few times.
Yeah,
But
no, that makes sense to me. I think sometimes we can't put a
I
finger
don't
on it, and maybe later on we can kind of unpack what is happening or what has happened. And so, yeah, you started to come. But was there anything like in particular, like the community, the message, or maybe there was multiple things that you said, I don't know why I wanted to come, but what maybe that we can dive into. Maybe there was a couple of things that really stood out in your mind.
Like, what made you come back the second time? So before you got addicted like crack, what do you think was the motivation for that return, even just the first return?
So I think for a while I was still in the same kind of playful mindset, but a lot of it was just playing really. That's what it felt, even when it progressed to, standing behind and greeting people as the feature queen of hell. That was still play.
Was that still
Messing
play?
around. Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that was great. So for those that are listening, so in our church at the time in Alt Space, you would spawn outside of this building. There's a little pathway that walked inside the church building. There was some doors there, and then right as you walked in, to the right was like a welcome desk type of thing. And if my memory serves me correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Alice. That's where you would stand and greet people, or maybe it was at the door. But either way, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I think maybe at the intro, but my wife, Carrie, just kind of zoomed out because a lot of times in the metaverse, it's just normal to us. The oddities of Rec Room, VR Chat, Alt Space, the names, the avatars, the world, it's the world bits. It's all normal to us. But sometimes when you zoom out and put your glasses on from the perspective of someone that's never seen that and they're looking at these images, it is odd. It is unusual. And so Carrie had a zoom out moment. It was very normal for Carrie to walk in, see the future Queen of Hell, greet her, and then walk into church. Like she didn't think anything of it. But in that moment, she zoomed out and was like, "Oh, this is very strange and very odd that people would probably find off-putting, but for us, it's very normal." And it's funny to me. I don't think I knew that you're still trying to troll a little bit by just greeting people under that name. I think that's fantastic.
Not necessarily troll, but be playful.
Playful, yeah.
It's like the sort of that transition moment, where it was a slow transition. It wasn't like one click saying one day I want to do this. It was kind of volunteering before realizing what I was doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Not troll, because that's a
Yeah.
when you give the term troll, that's a different level of things that we face in VR chat. Even Christian trolls have been more of the issue lately, which that could be a whole other podcast. Because I think we're going to do a podcast about trolls, people who disrupt. But now there's like a level of Christian trolls, which is probably even more disturbing than your regular trolls, with the homophobia, misogyny that comes with that. We'll slot that in as an episode for next time, for another time. So Alice, so you started attending various churches. I saw you popping into Jate Live on Twitch. Jate is like a Twitch pastor, for lack of better words. He with Jate Live, and then VR Church, and then some other of our VR Church friends and networking connections. And then you started to just kind of like go from the playful to actually just attending. And what was going on in your mind? What was going on in your spirit? Did you feel like you were spiritually growing? Or what was this happening in your life during that point?
Like I can't remember to be honest. But yeah, I think I do remember going into Jake's stream, and he was actually one of the first places I went to. One of the first places I had a discussion, these types of discussions. I think it was before I even found VR Church, and one of the first times I went into VR Church was when he was teaching in there. So it was about around the same time.
Very interesting.
And he was also somebody that instead of like banning or blocking, actually just ended up having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it was, and found some kind of common ground that was about vegetarianism and why are you vegetarian and all that. So that's where we found the common ground. And
again, getting to know each other, having a conversation.
Yeah.
Just some fundamental lost arts, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. And then you started attending. You started. You got baptized. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was with Cornerstone when I was. So I used to go to Cornerstone almost every week. I don't at the moment. A thing in itself.
Yeah.
So that was
that baptism was in Alt Space, right?
That was in Rec Room.
Oh, it was in Rec Room. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh no, I do remember that. Sorry.
You remember
my apologies.
That?
Yeah, I do remember that. The baptism in Rec Room. And I love that. And so to the point that you came in, you were trolling but not trolling, being playful, started coming to church, It was an addiction. It was like
Mhm.
crack. You're growing. You're connecting, and I love that. And here's what I love about the metaverse. Let me just hit this point here for Alice. My observation, Alina and Coldus, is in the physical church, like you're only allowed to attend one church. You're only allowed to attend, church A on Sunday morning, and you have to commit to that. What I love about Alice's experience as an observer, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, whatever, is that she was allowed to attend multiple churches. VR Church, Cornerstone, J Live, whatever. And I think that speaks to the powerful freedom that the metaverse can bring to an individual. I think it's that eclectic experience was important, in my observation, for Alice to go experience all these things instead of having an attitude that you can only attend here. I think that would have been detrimental if any of us. I don't know if other churches had this, by the way, but at least at VR Church level, where we were like, yeah, you can come here and go attend over there and volunteer over there and volunteer over here. I couldn't have done it at any physical church I was a part of. I couldn't volunteer at 2 churches. I couldn't volunteer at 3 churches. Right? There's just no way that would be allowed to happen. So I think that's a whole other topic to get in on. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I often forget that is the case, but you're absolutely right, or maybe it's even worse, because here in Spain at least, you're supposed to go to the church in your town. In big cities, we can usually choose, so it's okay, whatever. But if you're from a little town and there is only one single church, you're supposed to go to that one. You are not even like allowed to go to the next town or whatever. You are not supposed to be doing that. So that is even worse.
Yeah, and it's so ingrained that you don't even think or talk about it. It's just assumed that you attend this one.
Yeah.
You commit to this one. And that's fine if somebody wants to do that. Like, this is my church, is when I go to this, I'm exclusive to this. But I don't know that Christ intended that exclusive attitude when it comes to the gathering of the community. And I think many people would benefit by having the freedom to do whatever they need to do, go wherever they needed to go. And so, I don't know. Alice, what do you think about that? Because that's something,
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on that
I
because,
think.
go.
Mhm. Yeah. So I think the sharing of resources and working together and the way that's been, well, the way that's gone about in the metaverse has been a really positive experience. Just, yeah, even when because they're all different places, and they'll have very minor differences in beliefs and differences in how they run things. But what's great is that everyone's able to come together under the same core values and share resources and things like that. And I mean, and be kind to one another as different groups of
Yeah.
people. There's intertwining communities. Whereas I think in real life, what I see from the outside is just a lot of competition over each other and maybe a lot of fighting.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah.
Competition and fighting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and this again, every time we do a podcast, I have like 3 or 4 podcasts that come out of my brain as we're talking about it, because I would love to get into what's the current state of the collaboration of the Metaverse Church. Because early Metaverse, with a handful of us in there, was a high collaborative spirit, even across different belief systems. I think now it seems like, and I could be wrong, by the way, it seems to be less collaborative. I think particularly as we, like a community like ours dives deeper into inclusivity, into an affirming expression of faith. And I think that's probably created some divides and kind of bringing the physical divides that are ever present denominationally, theologically. I think they're starting to manifest itself in the metaverse, particularly as more churches come in. And so it's kind of like just watching that happen, kind of being sad about it, but also noticing that the metaverse resists that a little bit because it's a vibe or an attitude that doesn't stick very well in the metaverse because it's a different environment. And so, anyways, that's a whole other podcast to theorize and delve into, but fascinating to think about the growth of Alice is spirituality was based on collaborative spiritual experiences, just separate churches, and the freedom for her to be a part of that. I think one of the pastors uh, respectfully contacted me. It was like, "Hey, Alice is," I think, and I don't remember the specific. Maybe it wasn't even Alice, but someone is getting baptized. Somebody wants to volunteer at our church. And so for me, I was like, oh, I've been a Metaverse church pastor for a long time. I haven't been a physical church pastor. I don't even think about that. But them as a physical church, having a Metaverse campus, like physical church, you'd have to ask the physical church pastor at a different location for permission. You just couldn't do that. And so out of respect, he asked me, but quickly, I just said, hey, man, you don't need to ask, but thank you for asking. People can go where they need to go. They can volunteer where they need to volunteer at. And we shouldn't set limits on individuals. We need to set them free to go pursue God, to pursue their faith, and not as churches and as leaders creating limits and rules around that. That's detrimental to one's spirituality. So anyways, that's a rabbit hole to go down to.
I just had a conversation, I don't know, maybe yesterday, a couple days ago, with a person who wanted to talk with me because they had family members who were not happy about them coming to VR Church. And not even because they had anything specifically against us, they don't really know anything about us, but because of that you only one church thing. So the family members are like, "You don't volunteer there. You've got to volunteer at your local church, ML, whatever, at your local church." Always back to this local church. They didn't believe you could do both. That it had to be only one, and to go to another was somehow taking away from the first one. When we see, obviously, it's not a taking away situation, but a combining situation. And this person told me, which just was amazing. They said there are parts of their faith that they feel are strengthened best at this other physical church they go to. Said, but then there is are these whole other aspects of my faith that I don't get it all over there. And it's very important to my faith, and I get them here at VR Church. So they go and serve at both. I don't know if they know he serves with us at the physical church. I don't know if they know that, but I do know it upsets the family that he's
Yeah, and
utilizing two places for
yeah,
his
I
faith.
imagine if it upsets the family, it probably would be wise for them not to tell the physical church, just because I could see them creating a reaction, right?
Yeah.
Because even in 2023, metaverse churches are still reviewed as an outcast, an enigma, heretical. It's wild to see that. And so I think fervor, or is that the right word, or excitement for the metaverse and the metaverse churches died down. But then Apple has introduced their headset, which is not necessarily VR, but just the idea of spatial computing experiences. And so I think that energy will rise back up again. But anyways, I'm going off on a little technological side trail, but to go back to what you were saying, Alina, yeah, I think that's important. I think that's a valuable lesson, is that wherever as we're on our spiritual journey between us and God, we need to interact with the things that is going to help us grow for us. Because each church, each ministry, each leader, we express ourselves in different ways. We're not all the same, and we shouldn't be. If we are, that's a big problem. And I think that's where denominationalism falls into, like, some cultic aspects. And so for an individual to, hey, I need to watch this person on YouTube, I need to attend this physical church, I like this part about the metaverse, whatever you need to do to grow spiritually, to go in your faith, whatever you're drawn to, man, do that. And if there's any attitude, physical or metaverse or otherwise, that would say you can and you can't do this, that's a big red flag. Because now you're getting in the way. I think that you're getting in the way of possibly what God and the Spirit wants them to do. And maybe there's an aspect about this particular ministry that's going to help this particular person for a particular reason. And so I think the church should be eclectic, diverse, unique, and I love when it is. I love seeing. I was driving one time down. Let me just go down a little rabbit hole here. I was driving one time down in Texas, and I saw a cowboy church out in the distance, and that was the name. And there was pickup trucks, and there was like a rodeo there, and I'm sure people going in with with their cowboy hats. And man, that was cool. I'm not going to go to a cowboy church, but man, I bet you a cowboy working the horses, he's going to be drawn to that, the vibe, the attitude, the spirit. There's a biker church where bikers go to, rolling up in their Harleys, coming in with their leather jackets. And so I think I heard a pastor say the best churches are yet to come. And I love that. And I think the same pastor said, we need different types of churches to reach all types of people. And I think that's great too. Biker churches, cowboy churches, stained glass organ, very orthodoxal, very formal. And then the concert, the smoke, the small church, the big church, the Metaverse church, all of that. I think all of it's needed. I think all of it's good. And to say this is church, this is not church, this is the way it should be done, this is not the way it should be done, is frankly cultic thinking. And so the eclectic and diverse nature of the church in all its forms and fashions is beautiful. It's not heretical just because it doesn't look like yours. And when we talk to an individual and we want God's power, his love and his power to be manifested in individual's life, and if we limit it by saying you can only, then we're already off on the wrong foot in that person's spiritual journey. So anyways, thank you for letting me go down that rabbit hole.
And thank you, Alice, for sharing that very important aspect of faith that can get overlooked. That utilizing all the different aspects from different places, and the importance and the efficacy that it has in growing not only your faith, but certainly the faith of many, many people. Thank you for.
Yeah, and I should stop talking because we're not interviewing DJ, we're interviewing Alice. And I'm good. But
we can interview you if you want.
Why not? That'd be
it'd be easier on my memory.
List. Yeah, why not? So Alice, no, I think that's unique. So you got to experience different things, and the good, the bad, because there's no perfect place and there's no perfect leader. So you're experiencing what it is. And then you really started to volunteer at a deeper level. So it went from like playful trolling to, attending to getting baptized. And now it's like you're just going to the level of really getting into volunteering. And so what drew you to that? What did you like about that? Why the commitment to that? Because I'm sure you're very busy as well. And so, yeah, let me know your thoughts as you dive deeper into the church experience. I don't know, just your thoughts about that.
Well, I think it was just something, to start off with, it was actually Mr. Walton, who encouraged me to go into your world building team. And that's the first time I knew I was volunteering while knowing it, rather than like accidental. So the first intentional one, he encouraged me to, and it was more of a place where I was like, oh, I don't really think I'm very good at this, but he was more of like, yeah, I know you can do it. And when I got into it, I found that as much as it was me giving my time and everything, I was getting a lot out of it. I was really growing in terms of relationships. Alina there, she's very good at giving like spiritual advice. she's like quite a good counselor in a way, or pastor, yeah. She's just got that gift. So she helped me grow a lot while I was doing world building with her, and people come and people go through the volunteer teams that we've had, and all of those people together has helped me grow as a person, even though my intention wasn't for me to grow, but for me to give the time into creating these spaces. But
I love that. And what people don't realize, might not realize about VR Church, is our sermons are world building based. So what that means is we don't just like give a sermon from a stage about Matthew chapter 1, let's say the birth of Christ, let's say the nativity. We don't have slides, we don't have a stage sermon. What we do is we recreate that in the metaverse. We walk into the stable where Jesus, or the manger where Jesus is born. We travel the road to Bethlehem, and those things are created by the World Build team, led by Alina and Alice. And you create all these experiences. So we don't just hear about the story, we don't read about it, we experience it. We walk through it as if we were there. And so, really, what also people might not realize is a new sermon format has been born. In the history of the church, this is the first time we're experiencing sermons this way. It's really unique, very, very new, not recognized. Perhaps church history will come back and mark this as a unique situation where, just like the radio or the print or the television beforehand, when those mediums were used to communicate spiritual truths in unique ways, at some point there'll be recognition of, wow, look at that church with those builders built really unique experiences to experience the scriptures, to deliver sermons in ways that we haven't seen before in history. And so I think that's going to be unique. And I think the work that you guys and gals do as the World Build team is phenomenal. Some of these, all of them are great, and some of them are just unbelievable, just beautiful, just like, what is this? And so I think it's unique and special. And you have very talented, you all do a very good job with creating that. A lot of thought, effort, excellence, detail, thinking through unique little experiences that not quirky in a bad sense, just like quirky in the sense of, oh, we're laying in the grave. We're rising back up as avatars, right? So all these really unique situations that the church has never seen, the world has never seen before. Maybe one day they'll get to experience it and recognize it. I know we're not looking for recognition, and that's not the point. But I think it's just more of a historical recognition that this is happening, and it's very unique, very special. And Alice, you do a phenomenal job with the world building, and it's not just the beauty, it's the creativity behind it. And I think that's unique and special as well. So thank you for that.
I have to. I'm sorry. Continue,
No?
Alice. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, it's something that really speaks to me when I go in and experience the space as well, not necessarily from a world build perspective, but from a viewer perspective when I go in and experience the spaces while the sermon is happening and the teaching, because I'm not very good at reading, so I can't just pick up a Bible and read it. Well, I can, but I'm not going to get as much out of it. And I'm not very good at just listening to somebody babble on while sitting still in a seat, but experiencing kind of the world in these interactive places really just enhances everything. And I think that's been one of the core parts of my learning and why I've stuck with VR Church, because it's so unique in that way. Nobody else that I know does it like this. So
Well,
Yeah,
I
and Alina,
just,
you're going to say something?
yeah, first of all, I was just going to just second you when you just said how truly this isn't just to be nice. Alice, you are extraordinarily gifted artistically, and it definitely comes out in these world builds. Um, but I also wanted to say that how cool is this that when you started volunteering, you started volunteering because you wanted to give. You wanted to give something to the church. You wanted to give something to the people. But in turn, you also received surprise. I received so much and have grown so much in my faith and my relationships. And I just wanted to um, just kind of draw attention back to that because there's no better way to do exactly that, to grow in your faith and grow in your relationships than to volunteer at the church. Through volunteering, you spend a lot more time in small, intimate groups, um, which just helps, foster and grow those relationships as well as your faith. And then even so, building takes it one step further, and it helps significantly to grow your understanding into what scripture is saying, because like you said, it's not just about like reading it or hearing it once or reading it once, but you spend a significant period of time um, understanding it, spending the time to really grasp what it's trying to share so that you can show that understanding in a physical, artistic way, right? So if you don't spend any time understanding it, who knows what you're going to build? But you do, but we do as a team. It's a fabulous, fabulous opportunity to learn um, and grow in your faith, scriptural knowledge, and relationships.
Hmm. I love it. I think it's a beautiful story, and I think someone needs to write a book on it.
Mhm.
And I know I think sometimes, particularly if you're just hearing a podcast like this for the first time, it sounds pretentious. Maybe it sounds arrogant, but man, it's really not even about that. It's not about the recognition. It's just about recognizing like something unique and that's never been done before, and just highlighting that and documenting that and presenting that to the world. Whether the world can take with it and do with it what it wants, but just to join the annals of history to say this is what happened and this is the reason that's important to at least have a notable recognition of it. Um, so we're not here for the accolades or the praise, but it is unique and special. So, Alice, so looking into the future, we kind of went into the past, we kind of went into the present. You're active with world building. And by the way, just kind of delve into that just for just a couple of minutes. What's it like to be a world builder? Tell us the process. Give us a little behind the scenes. You get the scripture, you check it out, you read through it, or you tell us what's it like from A to Z. Let's say another chapter of the Bible is coming up that needs to be built. What's the process like?
Well, the first thing is you just kind of read through it and try and understand what it's saying. And you pick out ways where you could kind of illustrate it. So um, think about the context it's kind of set in the place, and where would this be. So and kind of try and imagine what the people writing it would be seeing, and then create that, or what that might look like. And then you can kind of pick out things that are maybe symbolisms or things that would illustrate what it's saying or communicate it in a way that's different to just reading it. And then kind of try and create those things. And then think about it being interactive, ways to engage people. So like the first big part is just kind of planning all that, just making sure it all fits and flows together. Because that's one of the harder parts of making it all fit and flow. And then after that, it's just making the things to go in there, pretty much.
And then, so you guys get together as a build team each week to talk about it. Is that kind of one of the ways you prepare?
Yeah, so we talk in a room and create at the same time. I tend to start it all off at the moment, but we'll be handing that baton to Alina or somebody when I go off away for a bit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
on your big trip to the Canada.
Yeah. I've given her some starting terrains and things like that, but
So
down to you to start it.
so it's not like let's say like when we create a movie, you do a storyboard, and in the storyboard, you there's no storyboarding. You kind of have an idea, read through it, and then you just start building it. Is that kind of like you're storyboarding and building at the same time, or do you draw it out beforehand?
Yes, so sometimes we write down like a sequence of events or a sequence of things on a whiteboard, and then write out what do we need to build for these sequence of events. So instead of a flat storyboard, it there are sequences in the storyboard kind of thing, but they might not be in order in terms of where they are placed in the world, because sometimes, as you might notice, in scripture, you go back and forth to a lot of places, or you jump around, and 1 minute you're in one place and then all of a sudden you're in another, or somebody has a dream, or something's different. So it's a bit like that, but less linear, and there's a bit more working out, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think it's I haven't been to many, but it's fun to pop in the occasional times I've been there just to see the process behind the scenes. And one thing, and maybe it's just normal to you guys, it feels seamless, right? So you're sketching it out, you're talking about it, maybe you're dividing the work up, but it feels like a cohesive experience. Or is that your kind of artistic eye overseeing the whole thing, Alina and Alice, that as you're building this all is making sense and you don't just go from a jarring transition from this to what is happening here next to the next. Like I don't even know how that works, to be honest.
Yeah, it's smooth unless I make people jump through the ground and go to a different
Is that
Yeah,
make them go?
for drastic, dramatic changes, there's tricks essentially to
Okay.
get you to a whole nother destination, like jumping through the ground into what appears to be a whole new world. Um, yeah, there's tricks to this the seamlessness of it. And some builds are definitely easier than others in that respect.
Digivangelism helps progressive leaders of spiritual communities share hope, healing, and light online through digital ministry consulting, website building, and education. Visit digivangelism.org/vrchurch to learn more. Churchblock.io is providing blockchain solutions for the church. Visit churchblock.io to learn more.
Welcome back. I want to thank our sponsors, Digivangelism and churchblock.io. Thanks for your sponsorship. For the future of the church is the Metaverse podcast. And so, as we land the plane, so to speak, Alice, we just wanted to get your final thoughts about the church. Anything really. Coldest, I think you might have a final thought or two. Alina, feel free if you will. I think I've said all I needed to say, so which is I'm just really appreciative of you, Alice, and as the future queen of hell is now the future queen of heaven. And so I think it's a beautiful thing. But Alice, Alice, let's leave your thoughts for last. Alina or Coldest, any final thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, yeah, I do. So the thing is, so I think Alice and I think myself, and I think you mentioned Matthew earlier. We all came, and I know more people from the church who all came from a place, which a place where we were, disliking Christianity or religion, But at least the three of us, at least Arius and me and Matthew, managed to find something different and something interesting and something worth of our time in VR church or or in any other metaverse church or whatever. So it's like a super beautiful thought to know we are doing something different and we are, at least I get the feeling, right? I feel we are straying away from the things we all dislike about Christianity, because there are some bad things, and those are still there. Those have changed shape a lot with the time, but they are still there in a way or another, right? But we are doing something different, and that is beautiful. And
Mm.
I think the same thing could be also said about other metaverse churches, and of course, of another physical churches as well. They are not all of the same. That is the whole point, right? but um, but yeah, it feels really good. That
I
is
love
great. That
that.
is amazing. I need to chew on that even more.
Mm.
It's so cool because, like you said, it's because you know you're doing something different because you see the fruit of it, right? It's this
Exactly.
unique fruit. It's I don't know what's a unique the starfish fruit. I don't know some unique fruit. The unique fruit that doesn't normally grow in other forms of church, right? You get a
Yeah.
bunch of apples and a bunch of bananas and a bunch of I don't know, whatever. But then you're seeing this unique fruit growing in this what's it called? This environment, I guess would be a good thing. So you see this unique fruit growing in this environment and because of that you know for sure that something different is happening because we're growing
Yeah.
some unique fruit here and it is very beautiful. I couldn't agree more.
And also, I think it would be fair to say we were hating on some like corrupt, church leaders. And now, at least, yeah, I think now we are the ones getting hate from these kind of guys. And of course, we are gonna get some hate from these kind of guys. Because, we are like the buddies for them. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah,
if
this
you get
thing is.
haters, you're doing something good.
Yeah, we have
Mm.
a few. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Alice, any final thoughts for you before we head out?
No usuals because you guys just said things so well. I mean,
You did
yeah.
that well. You did as well.
Oh, I don't know about that. But no, it's been a great ride. With you and other places in the metaverse, you know. Hope for the great ride to continue. Don't know
Beautiful.
where it's gonna go, but that's great.
Yeah, where is the sailboat going next? We'll find out. And I'm glad you guys. I'm glad to have you on the boat, and it's going to be a fun adventure. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. And for those that are listening, you might attend a physical church, a digital church, virtual church, metaverse church, but swing by sometime to check out the church that Alice builds. Or I know many people build it, but that Alice helps organize in a rec room. Come check it out. Be amazed. Meet Alice. Say hello. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, as many people are when they come to visit VR Church and to visit Rec Room. And I think you'll enjoy it a lot. So thanks for listening, everyone. Lena is waving her hand. What you got?
Okay. This is what I wanted to close with too, and Alice, maybe you'll just share how this made you feel. One of the most speaking of fruitfulness again. So one of the people who from the get go blocked you, treated you horribly, it was super judgmental, future queen of hell, you're out of here. Um, a few years later, in the service that you were helping me teach, this person stood up in front of the whole church on the little megaphone and apologized to you. And you can hear in his voice the deep grief of his actions, the regret. And he said, I am so, 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 so sorry for treating you the way I did when I first met you. And it's so cool to watch. Some people think metaverse churches aren't real. They can't really make a difference. They can't, it's play. It doesn't make any difference in the reality of who you are. But we see this evidence in this person that through his time in the metaverse churches, his heart has grown in this most beautiful way. Alice, how did you tell us what you felt in that moment when he did that, when he apologized to you?
Well, it was a good thing, obviously. I'm not gonna say it is in such like a beautiful way as you do, but it's a good thing, and I'm more like there's no hard feelings there or anything like that. And that one, even before he apologized, I didn't really have any hard feelings, but it's a good thing to see how they've grown to a way which they can recognize that their way of thinking may have been wrong, because they're an old dog. I know who you're talking about, but I'd be fair to saying there's a perception that older people, once you get to a certain where you're stuck in your ways and you can't change, you can't grow, you're like a rock that can't be shaped at all. But people still can grow no matter how old they are, no matter who they are in the metaverse, and we're kind of not ageist in that way.
Right.
But
That's
yeah,
really good.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you, Alina. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Coldest. And thanks to everyone listening. We will be back with The Future of the Church is the Metaverse. We'll see you soon.
You gon' see success in me. You ain't seen the rest. I just wanna be the best at what I know. Better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known.